interesting, important thing I can imagine doing. And we are now like in the singularity. Like this is the moment. For the last 10 years ago.
That is the man who runs OpenAI, saying the singularity is not coming, it's here. He said it 3 days ago in the middle of routine startup advice, like it was obvious. 10 years ago, his own team called this a far-off dream, lunch table talk. Now he says we're living inside the moment they used to joke about. But the claim is not the story. The story is what he says he's afraid of. Because it isn't the AI. It's the people who will control it. His word for the risk, authoritarianism. And a phrase you don't expect from the man selling this future. Machine God. Start with where this happened, because the setting is half the story. This wasn't a keynote or an earnings call. It was a podcast about how to start startups. The host asked what changed since his old Stanford lectures on starting companies. His answer, everything. What a small team can do and how fast. Asked what drives him, Altman doesn't reach for a mission statement. He states a location in history, the singularity, the point where machine intelligence starts compounding beyond ours. Sci-fi shorthand for 60 years. Futurists put it decades out. Most researchers refuse to put a date on it at all. The man with the clearest view of the frontier just put it at now. He does add one honest layer. No single moment is the tipping point. It's all one long exponential. But he also calls this a decisive period. The curve, he says, can still go one way or another. His evidence for the speed is concrete. He met a startup that was 2 weeks old. 2 weeks in, it had rebuilt an entire office suite. Documents, spreadsheets, presentations, built for AI as the primary user. His estimate for that work, until recently, a year. The floor just moved. He puts it plainly, what a 10-week-old startup can look like now amazes him. And a 10-week-old startup that looks like it's from 2016 is already in bad shape. And the physical world won't stay safe ground for long. It won't be that long, he says, until robots get really good. And he says the market still hasn't priced this in. The exponential, in his words, is going to continue. His advice to founders is the same bet. Build for models that don't exist yet. Plan for what's impossible this month and cheap in 2 years. So what scares the man who says we're inside the singularity? Not a rogue model, he barely mentions that. Listen to what he names instead, AI authoritarianism. A small number of people or companies deciding they need to control the world. That's not a hypothetical to him. He frames it as the fight of the current moment. His stated mission is the opposite bet, massively empowering people. Choppy but wonderful is the actual phrase.
Are we going to head to a world of AI authoritarianism or liberty? Are we going to decide that because of the very real safety issues and economic issues that, we want one single model to be the machine god or the company?
A machine god, one model, one company running everything. Justified, he says, by very real safety fears. And he's explicit about who would want a machine god. People convinced that safety demands one steward. He thinks that cure is worse than the disease. His counter-argument is one sentence of history. So OpenAI's answer is volume. Make intelligence abundant, cheap, and put it in everyone's hands. Messy, he admits, with guardrails. But decentralized, because the alternative is the machine god. In this framing, every extra person holding the tool is insurance against the few who would hold it alone. Then he lists what stands between here and that future: chips, energy, data centers, robots. And he notices something odd about that list. The inputs to intelligence are energy and machines. The first things you'd want after intelligence, also energy and machines. He wonders aloud if that means something deep. Then comes the sentence aimed at people he never names.
To work on that, I also think some of the alternative visions painted by other companies are quite terrifying. I'm gonna make sure that gets pushed against and is not what happens.
Quite terrifying. From a CEO about competitors on the record. That's not analysis. That's a declaration. Remember, this industry does its knife fighting in subtext. On the record, executives compliment each other. Terrifying is not a compliment. He didn't say which companies. So here's the public record, and you can do the math. His own former chief scientist now runs a lab whose stated plan is one product: superintelligence, built in isolation. Anthropic was founded by people who left OpenAI over trust. and argues the frontier needs far tighter control. And Musk told The Economist last week he'd rather not press the stop button at all. We covered that interview 2 days ago. The man who spent a decade trying to stop this now says enjoy the ride. 3 visions of who should hold this. Altman just called at least one of them terrifying and left you to guess which. Now the fine print, the things he concedes mid-victory lap. Alignment still unsolved. Safety still unsolved. What happens to jobs? Unsolved. On jobs, he offers no plan. Just the label, a major economic issue, still open. He's watched this movie's opening scene before, March 2023, GPT-4. The world, in his words, was melting down. Nobody knew what to think. World leaders were asking whether the thing needed to be shut down. His response was a world tour. 3 years later, the storm passed, nothing was shut down, and the models got smarter every quarter. That precedent matters. The last time everyone panicked, the panic faded, and the shipping continued. He's betting the same pattern holds inside the Singularity, which brings us to the device, the one he's building with Jony Ive. Listen to his own forecast for it.
Full, empowering set of devices. And I'm also sure that people will misuse them, and it'll make people's lives worse in ways we can't imagine, and we'll adapt, but this is
worse in ways we can't imagine, and will adapt, from the man shipping the product. That's the whole safety plan in 4 words. He even offers the case study himself. He deleted his own social apps because he couldn't stop scrolling. The iPhone beat his self-control, he says. His next device, he's sure, will be misused too. Notice the structure of that argument. The danger is certain. The details are unknowable. The response is adapting after the fact. So how seriously do you take a Singularity announcement from a salesman? Fair question. OpenAI is valued around $800 billion and chasing $1 trillion listing. A future that feels inevitable is worth more than one that feels optional. Inevitability is the product. So yes, discount the words of a man mid-fundraise, but weigh who's saying it. This is a man who texts 300 to 400 people a day. He describes himself as an AI model that isn't that smart, but has a huge context window. Nobody on Earth sees more of the frontier before breakfast. Research breakthroughs reach his phone before they reach a paper. That's not an oracle, but it is the best informed guess alive. When that person switches from someday to now, the interesting question is no longer the date. It's the question he named himself. One machine god, or everyone armed with the same weapon. He's already picked his side, and he's building it at full speed. The open question is whether the rest of us get a vote.